Alright, spooky boys, girls, and non-binary folks, today we're going to talk about the lore behind each Blighted cosmetic, and we're going to rank them. We're going to combine my love of lore with the algorithm's love of tier lists. So feel free to comment on any of my takes that you feel are W's or L's, or just critique the hell out of my Wraith match against the Flashlight squad that sent my Survivor main ass to Batum. Either way, have fun and enjoy the video. First, a bit of background information. If it wasn't obvious, Talbot Grimes, aka the Blight, is behind all of the Blighted skins in one way or another. He used his Blighted serum on various killers, typically by outwitting or overpowering them and injecting them as an experiment. Canonically speaking, it may seem a little head scratchy as to how he overpowered some of these, but you need to bear in mind that Talbot Grimes is really close to the entity, and as such, he probably could be getting a little bit of help. Also, each syringe has a Blight tag on it with an alchemical symbol and a number after it, which I will include on screen while talking about them. Anyway, let's just jump into it, ranking them from worst to best. Coming in at dead last, I'm putting Albert Wesker. His cosmetic description reads, "Nobody could predict the complex interactions that would occur between the serum and Ouroboros." Yeah, because on the surface, the interactions look about as complex as a juice box. There's nothing really to suggest the Ouroboros inside of Wesker is dialed up to 11 or anything. He just got an oozy right shoulder and his hair's a little disheveled. The cool thing about this cosmetic though is that the description goes on to say that Wesker administered the Blight serum to himself, meaning he's the one who overpowered and outsmarted the Blight to get his hands on it. But still, it's not that great of a cosmetic. I'm sorry. In 16th place, we have Blighted Pyramid Head. The putrid serum took hold of the creature born from a dark wish, rotting with putrid ways to punish the guilty. Nothing is really told as to the how this happened, since Pyramid Head is an absolute unit in comparison to the Blight. However, I'm thinking that he allowed it to happen, and it was some sort of mutual agreement. It's not really a bad skin per se, it's a little bit bland and not much has changed, likely due to Pyramid Head's immense strength, and also, more importantly, due to the strength of Behavior's contractual obligation to respect Konami's desires to remain safe with the design. Next up is the Plague. She emerged from confinement when the serum amplified the disease coursing through her blood. Talbot Grimes has already experimented on Adiris before, as one of his add-ons is literally her bile that he just pocketed, I guess. So I think it's safe to say that she was compelled to submit by the entity. I think much like the previous two skins on this list, the fault of this skin is that it's just a missed opportunity. She's the literal embodiment of a plague. She was rotting away when she was taken by the entity, and so you'd think that they could just accentuate it a little bit more instead of make her look like the plague but orange. So those first three are the ones that I actively dislike, and these are the ones that I tolerate or at least like a little bit. And this spot is going to go to the Trapper. I think this looks fine. It's like if he was a Pokemon and then you had him Mega Evolve. The spikes in his back are spikier, the machete is now machetier, and it has syringes welded to it. So yeah, it's pretty cool. The Spirit is lucky number 13. She was held captive and broke free when the serum tapped into her ancestral rage. The horns and the third eye are super cool and nice touches, kind of hinting at her Yamaoka lineage, but she's got like this same vibe as a Spitter from Left 4 Dead, which grosses me out. It's a good skin, but it's not really my cup of tea. Next on my ranking is the Huntress. This feral experiment was the first of its kind, is the cosmetic description. So I'm thinking this means that the Huntress was canonically the first killer that the Blight injected, I think, which is a neat detail. The serum brought out her woodsy, animalistic nature as she's covered in fur. So while I myself am not a furry, I can respect the skin for what it is. The ooze spilling out of the eyes is dope as hell as well. Hillbilly falls into this spot. The Blight injected him multiple times in a short period of time to get the serum to react more quickly due to how aggressive Max was getting. It caused a bunch of lumps, and the torso cosmetic is called Conjoined Souls and features what appears to be a second head on his back. So it makes me wonder if this is part of the reason why Max was disfigured when he was born, if he was supposed to be a twin. I don't know, but the coolest part by far is his weapon, which is about ready to burst due to serum overload, and it looks like it's just barely held together. Alright, we're about to hit the top 10, but first, I promised all of my viewers that if they joined my channel membership for just $2 a month, that they could see all my videos a day early, and then I'd shout them out in my videos. We've got my little frick Marsh over here going strong, so thank you, Marsh. The Hag takes 10th place. She was trapped by the Blight and experimented on until the serum tapped into a charm of strength within her, which enabled her to escape. Her organs are fused together, her spine and ribs are exposed, and she's covered in incredibly painful burns. But on the plus side, she looks pretty dope. Do people say dope anymore? I'm going to give this next spot to the Nemesis. The interaction with the NE Alpha parasite is said to have surprised even the Blight, which is interesting. As Nemesis is programmed to listen to its leader, I'm sure Blight had no issue in sticking a syringe into this guy. He's got a lot more pulsing bubbles on him, and there's an eye on his shoulder, which is a cute little Resident Evil Easter egg. And all in all, it's not that bad of a skin. So now we've reached the top half, and the first one is going to go to the Oni. He was tested on due to his immense strength, and much like the Trapper, it's giving like Mega Evolution vibes. The third eye has taken over much of his head, the horns are overgrown, with one horn being snapped out of pure anger. Due to his overall chattiness and muscles, the serum seems to have not affected him as much as far as orange ooze and growths go, but it's still like a tasteful amount of ooze and growths. Even though I myself am a Wraith main, and I love Philip Ojomo with all my heart, that bias only goes so far. He takes 7th place. I love his blighted skin, it makes him look like a tree, and I like trees. Also, he has a hole clean through his chest where his heart is. The cosmetic description says that he was a prototype in the Blight's experiment, which makes me wonder like if the Blight perfecting him serum would have drastically different effects on Philip if he were to do it again. Also, injecting Azerov's skull with his own little syringe is pretty cute. Okay, so this is a part where ranking it got extremely tough, but I think the next spot should go to the Doctor. He had to be restrained with electric cuffs on both ankles to hold him down for experimentation. His bowels were ripped open in the process, and the description said it made him mad and aggressive as hell, and that doesn't even touch on what happened to his face. Like, look at it. The third eye is just the cherry on top of this absolutely horrendous looking skin. I hate it, but I love it. We've made it to the top 5, and I'm giving this spot to the Clown. He looks just like a pumpkin. It's kind of cute, not gonna lie. He has like a jack-o'-lantern face with sad looking eyes and a wide grin. His stomach is literally stapled together and bursting at the seams. According to the lore behind this skin, he carved his own face with his knife, and he took off running as soon as the experimentation was done because his stomach swelled up so much that it just gave him this uncontrollable hunger, and he just had to find something to eat. I have no idea what he went to eat, and I do not care to know. Also, his skin is complete with behavior's special touch of giving him one barefoot. I love it. 4th place goes to the Nurse. She broke free from the Blight immediately after she was injected, but it was far too late. I love the pulsing lumps on her head and shoulder, as well as the entrails where you can just see the directional flow of the serum going through her bowels. Terrifying. Lovely. By this point, you know what my top 3 is, and it's pretty basic since it's essentially everybody's top 3. But we're going to give 3rd place to the true Blight Cosmetic. Who better to experiment on than yourself? At least that's what the Blight must have thought. He's got cankerous growths all over from dialing the serum in his body up to 11. It also turns him into a zombie-like creature, as the cosmetic descriptions say he's not sure if he's in control of his own thoughts or if the Blight has taken over his brain. It reminds me of like a super late stage infection from The Last of Us. It looks really cool. Number 2 goes to the Ghostface. I think Danny Johnson is one of my favorite killers in Dead by Daylight, even though I've only played 2 games as him and I absolutely suck at him. Go watch my Ghostface video for proof of that. And his cosmetic is just like a chef's kiss for a Danny simp like myself. The results of the experimentation were unexpected and surprising to the Blight. His stomach is gaping open and his skin has grown these sort of wings, yet it says he feels no pain from any of this. And my favorite part is the description of his head cosmetic. Where the mask ends and the human begins is difficult to determine, the two having merged together. I think this is not only a great description of the cosmetic, but is kind of a good metaphorical take on Danny himself. And my favorite blighted cosmetic in Dead by Daylight should come as no surprise, it's the Legion. The Blight took Frank, Joey, Susie, and Julie, strapped them together, and watched as the serum fused their bodies together. You've got one face right where you would expect a face, and then I believe it's Susie on the back of his head, cosplaying as Voldemort from Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. Then on the front where his titties should be, you have Joey and Julie. Plus there are arms for days just wrapped around Frank's body. The description states that the other 3 are desperately trying to escape, but to no avail. Joey even tried cutting himself out with his own knife, but he eventually lost control to Frank over all of the limbs, and so he had to give up. This skin is peak body horror, and I don't think behavior will ever top it, but I hope they try. So there you have it. How does my ranking match up with yours? Did talking about the lore behind any of them change your mind? Let me know in the comments below. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll catch you on the next one.